Death Lineups is back after the Warriors lose to the Denver Nuggets. The two defending champions of the last 2 years faced off in a game in Denver. Warriors came in at 6-2. Denver was 7-1. Denver undefeated at home. The Warriors gave them everything that Denver could have possibly wanted. Let's go back to before this game started. Earlier today, we heard Draymond Green out for the game, personal reasons. I don't think, did they actually say what the personal reasons were? There's rumors out there, but I didn't see anything official. And then, I don't know, about 2 hours before the game started, GP2 out for the game. So you have your two best defensive players out for this game against one of the best offensive teams in the entire NBA. And I just figured that Nuggets were going to lay like 140 piece on us. Did you feel the same way? Did you think that this was kind of like, oh, this is going to be one of those games where Kerr kind of gives it away? Let's take advantage of the 2-day rest and let's not burn people and they're just going to get blown out.
I didn't, but then about 3 minutes into the first quarter, I did.
It was bad. What did you think? Okay, so on Denver's side, they also were missing one of their best players, Jamal Murray. It looks like Jamal Murray is going to be out for most of this month too, which is unfortunate for them, but they have a really good backup in Reggie Jackson. And if you get the good Reggie Jackson, he's hitting clutch shots. He's making hard twos. If you get the bad Reggie Jackson, he's shooting a little bit too much and not running it through Jokic enough. I thought there was a decent amount of both. He hits big shots. He can actually guard very well, but yeah, sometimes he shoots too much, and I'm just like, man, thank God he shot that one and not Jokic. So on the Denver side, they're missing their guy. We're missing two guys, and the starting lineup is announced. The starting lineup is Kevon Looney and Dario Saric in the same lineup at the same exact time. It made zero sense on offense. Now, I think I understand the strategy on defense. I wanted to run this by you to see what you thought. I believe the strategy was the second Jokic starts backing down, there's a timing aspect to Jokic, right? I'm sure they're counting dribbles in a sense. So it's like dribble, dribble, dribble. How many dribbles until he actually usually makes a move? And when those dribbles came and when he was going to make a move, then you have the second big man come and double. I think that was the strategy. It worked in some instances. The times that it didn't work, he's the MVP. He was allowed to maul guys. He was allowed to run Looney over at every possible opportunity. That he's the MVP. That's what the MVP gets. If Draymond was in this game, I think Jokic would have got called for a charge like 2 times.
Draymond's savvy. He's defensively savvy.
Yeah, he would have been able to time it. He would have also known when to attack. But I believe that was the sacrifice. And so what happens is then you sacrifice the offense because now you have two guys and you expect Saric to space a little bit. His shot was not on tonight. It was not his. And some of that is because he's got to, defend down low and Jokic is a load and he's helping. And in some cases he's defending. So I didn't expect him to just shoot lights out after having to do so much on the defensive end. But I do wish that they would have taken more opportunities with Kuminga for Wiggins. Wiggins did come alive in the third quarter. He had a couple dunks. He had a layup. The outside shot is deplorable. This guy gets ready to shoot, and I'm just like, people out on the perimeter, get ready to long rebound because this thing's hitting the back rim every time. So, but I thought Kuminga and Moody were kind of the X factors in this game, and it kind of plays into what you said, which is the starters. The starters were trash. Absolute trash. Do you know what Steph Curry's plus minus was?
Was it minus 12?
It was minus 10. Clay minus 13. Saric minus 12. And that's that's just kind of it's not even an explanation necessarily, but they were bogging themselves down offensively to try and to try and defend Jokic. Now, do you think Jokic actually plays against the defense, or do you think he just takes plays off when he thinks he needs to take a play off? Because I don't think it mattered essentially whether it was Looney and Šarić or Looney and Kuminga or TJD and who was playing power forward. I guess it was Kuminga too when Jackson Davis was there. So I like, to me, I'm watching the game and I'm going like, okay, it really doesn't matter. Jokic is just going to sort of pick his spots and he's going to attack when he wants. And when he doesn't, he's going to try and get the other guys involved. So ultimately, I don't think that Kerr's defensive lineup even mattered. I don't think it stopped him in any way. I don't think it made him pause in any way. I think it's just up to him what he wanted to do.
So you're saying that the starting lineup, like, I feel like you kind of defended it a little bit by saying you saw what Kerr was thinking with.
I understood the strategy, but I don't think it worked.
But yeah, you don't think it worked. So yeah, I agree with you there. I think it was stupid. And then he thought he had the chance to correct it at the half and he just did it again.
And he didn't. Okay.
But that's what I texted you guys in the beginning of the game, was that the starters looked slow. They looked like unenthused. It looked like I even said the environment at the stadium. I don't know what the noise levels were like coming through the TV screen versus in arena, but it just sounded like quiet, like really quiet for such a packed arena. And it felt like the starters were just playing not into the quietness, but just were really muted themselves. And I sent you and Ben a text. It was like, send the young guys in there to run. Like, we just need guys to run and fly all over the place right now. And then
you need energy.
You need energy. And the bench players come in and they do what the bench has been doing almost every single game, which is be a plus. Like, they just play really well.
So what we have is a Jonathan Kuminga and a Moses Moody who understand their roles so much better. There were moments where you could tell Kuminga was like, I really want to go at this guy. Mm-hmm. And he would kind of attack, and if it wasn't there, then he'd pull the ball back. And then he brought the ball all the way down off of a rebound. CP's like has his hands out, and Kuminga just kind of looks him off and just goes at him. And he took a shot and he missed, and he was like, okay, that's it. That's my time. But they understand the offense, they understand their role. They can sort of see where the matchups go in their favor and when to attack and when not to attack. Honestly, now I was going to save this for later, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. This is what did we call it the last time we did the post game show? Because like small sample size thoughts or whatever we called it, right? So 9 games in, if you just switched out Moses Moody for Klay Thompson,
oh no,
I think defensively the team is just tremendously better especially on the perimeter. You know, Moses Moody has Slater had the stat today. Moses Moody has 12 steals in 155 minutes. So that's like, if he was playing 30 minutes a game, that's like 5 games, and it's like over 2 steals a game if he was playing high minute volume. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the same gravity that Klay does. Klay still attracts guys. Klay's still hitting shots. Klay doesn't have a lot of that fiery energy right now. I sort of see him being a little mopey like he was last year. Like, you could tell he's frustrated.
I'm noticing it too. It's like the body language on like we're almost getting ready for another Suns matchup, and Klay's gonna go into this like he's gonna get ejected. Like, it just seems like that's coming at some point. But they're not losing like they were that last year. So,
our buddy, your buddy. I guess I'm the dad side, so I can't call him my buddy. Obina, was he talking about Klay's lift? Because he had mentioned Klay's lift on his jumper. Now, Klay's not a huge jumper.
He was talking about his legs, right? Like,
yeah, did the legs? I
think he's right. He's short every single time.
He's short, except when he has a chance to kind of sit there in the pocket and just catch and shoot. If he's got to do any sort of creation whatsoever, it's very short. But yeah, the legs, I don't know if they're ever going to be there, and he just may have to sort of figure out how to deal with this version of himself. But Moses Moody, I wanted to see Moody and Kuminga with Curry, CP, and Looney. I wanted to see that lineup because what you get is you get Steph and CP. With Kuminga, you have more size, more length than you have with Wiggins. And then in Moody, you're going to have better perimeter defense than Clay. Now, if you're playing against bigs, then you probably want Clay instead of Moody just to guard down low. But I don't know. Moody, he's hitting the three. He's just in the right place. He's getting steals. Even on the last 3 seconds of this game, the Warriors had a shot because Jokic missed some free throws. Steph goes right down the pipe. And I think he thought Jokic was going to come out on him, and Jokic kind of baited him into throwing up a higher layup than he wanted, and it was off target. Moody almost knocked that ball off of it may have been off of Jokic, and he almost kept it alive. And so it's just those kind of things where you're like, okay, this kid, he has the energy. He's fighting. Kuminga is skying for rebounds just because he can jump higher than everybody. And I think they need that because you can see it in Wiggins and Clay's face. They're just so dejected. There's a moment, and Steph did this too, which was unfortunate, but he missed a three, and then Jokic leaks out, and Steph is supposed to be there to guard for the cherry pick. Steph misses the three. I don't know what he did because he was just out of the picture, but I'm assuming he was just mad that he missed, and so he kind of did whatever. And Jokic almost got a layup, and they had to foul him before.
Oh, and Wiggs fouled him.
Yeah. So it's just the dejectedness of these guys, and you can just see it. And thus is why I wanted to see Kuminga and Moody have a shot, because if there was a game to where you could play off, if Kerr is playing the rhythms of the players, he could be like, okay, JK, Moody, you guys are hot today. We're going with you. Because you see Clay on the bench. He's not happy when he's not in the game, right? Like he knew that, oh man, these guys are in. This is when I should be in, and I'm not in. And I don't know what Wiggins is thinking. He kind of has the same disposition no matter what. But I really wanted to see Kuminga and Moody tonight. I wanted to see them get a chance to run at the end, because also they just have the fresher legs. They have more energy. They're not playing 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see it. So I don't know. Maybe that's where we'll do something.
Yeah. That's where I'm kind of giving this team the benefit of the doubt with this game, is how many teams have played, are coming off of how many road games in a row, or how many road games to start the season too. 7 of 9 road games to start the season. They kind of look out there that they're ready to go home. They're done being on the road for a while. So I think that's a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that I'll give them. But what was I've been behind. Admittedly, I have been behind on Warriors games, so I had to catch up today and yesterday. Yesterday I finished the Cleveland game, and then today I finished the Pistons game. And I actually think it was kind of good practice, leading up to this podcast, because I have a fresher mind of how those games went down. And I wanted to I wanted, not that I wanted something to go a specific way so I could bring it up, but I noticed in the Cleveland game, Cleveland's one of the best defenses in the league. They were number 1 last year. They seem to have the same defense and some this year. The second unit is what lost them the game against Cleveland. They went down big in the second unit, which has been, abnormal of what the second unit's been able to do. They've been able to, keep leads or sometimes even get the lead. And then I kind of forget with Detroit whether it was the second unit or the first unit, but what I wanted to bring up was, and it kind of avoids it after how well they played this game, but I was going to say that I feel like that offense that they play in the second unit, where he's kind of just the main primary ball handler, playmaker, and he's really getting everyone involved. And there's no established secondary scorer, which is weird to watch in a unit, because you look at every single other team that has this tandem of 2 high scoring guys, then they just split them in the lineups. One's just always in the lineup, and one's, when that player's not in, the other one's in, with Darius Garland and Mitchell. It's they're always just kind of staggered. You look at that with a lot of people. With ours, like it's just CP comes in to replace Jordan Poole, who was the secondary creator, who was the secondary scorer. So CP almost needs to replicate that, but he's not. And then even in the win against OKC, where he was like, "I'm glad we can win if I only have to score 2 points." I was like, "Oh, see, no, I don't think that we can allow that like much longer," because it's just. I feel like that offense, that style of play where it's like everyone's, it's like a by committee second scorer almost. And it was what the detriment was in the Lakers series was no one but Steph can get a bucket. And I kind of just feel like I was seeing that a little bit in the games leading up to this one. I know this is a post game on the Denver one, but I noticed that like that offense that CP runs with those second guys, it's like, the Jimmy Butler and the third reserves against the Timberwolves making a comeback against the starters. That story, it kind of just feels like that underdog every time they go in together and they just end up winning the lineup, the minutes. But I feel like is that like I think they need to pull Clay early from the starting lineup and put Moody in and then put him early with CP's lineup. Because here I have this, I don't think this is accounting for this game, but what I did is I did 2-person lineups and I filtered by plus minus. And funny enough, Brandon Pajemski's in the first 3 of them. It's Šarić and Pajemski are plus 11. Chris Paul and Pajemski are plus 9. Wiggins and Pajemski are plus 6. Now these are lower minutes than the rest of them. But CP and Clay, maybe I should go to. I'm at per games. Maybe let's filter this. Let's go to totals. But Clay and CP were top 5 in that. Let's see. So Clay and CP are. If I filter to totals because I was on per game, and as we know, Pajemski's not playing 15 minutes per game, but it was just one game he did, and then messes with it. So Chris Paul, and Klay Thompson have played 7 games together. They've logged 110 minutes in the lineups they've played together, and they are a plus 39. I think.
And what does this do? Clay does not have to search for his shot when CP is in the game because CP is going to find him. That's the difference. And with Steph and Draymond, and with Draymond will find Clay too. But when he is the secondary guy for Steph, the first option is always Steph. Hunting.
Yeah.
And then sometimes Clay gets the ball with less than, 6 or 7 seconds on the shot clock. And then he's got to go try and find it. And that is not his game. The fact that you made that is tells me that we're kind of seeing the same things because I saw exactly the same thing in the Cleveland game and the Detroit game. There is nobody who they go to for a bucket. Not only is it, nobody that is like, sort of saying this is my role, like they're not trying to put anybody in that role. It's like you said, it's just sort of whoever they're trying to run the offense and then whatever the best shot is the best shot. So
it's good high school basketball.
I want to go to the YouTube comments because Greg Dayton, thank you for checking us out. Greg Dayton had the same comment as you were talking. So I didn't want to interrupt you, but Greg, the 3 of us were sort of thinking the same thing. So here's my solution. I think they need to tell Kuminga he needs to be way more aggressive. They need to run plays for him. They need to get him in mismatches so that he can go attack. Because the other thing that he does, he gets to the free throw line. And not everybody gets to the free throw line on this team. So I think that should be his role on that secondary team. And with Clay, to your point, you put Clay as the spacer, so you got to watch for Clay. You think Clay is going to be the main guy. Clay has never been great as the number 1 guy. When even in the seasons when they were good, you weren't always comfortable with Clay and not Steph. You were very comfortable with Clay and Steph because Steph would draw and then Clay would be open. In this scenario, you have CP looking for Clay, and then you have Kuminga attacking somewhere else on the other side of the floor. I think that should be the way that they go about it. And we've seen some glimpses of it, right? We've seen Kuminga able to get to his mid-range, and his mid-range is money right now. He's not even really shooting.
I would love to know the advanced analytics of like, what is Jonathan Kuminga's field goal percentage in that free throw range? Like, it's got to be like damn near 100%. Like, I haven't seen him. I think he missed one today, but it was kind of
He missed one in.
It was like a fade. It was like it was a tough fade.
I think it was the Cleveland game when they were trying to come back.
Do you remember in the OKC
when they were running whoever was running they're running the zone against the Warriors, and
it was the Thunder.
Okay, that's the game.
It was the
That's
Thunder.
the game where he missed.
I'm pretty sure it was the Thunder where they ran the zone, and then Kuminga just kept flashing in the middle, and they were just like, "Wow, this is working every single time." JK gets it, one pivot, boom, shot up. But yeah, I'm with you. It's almost like, it's not like this secondary, like you don't have like Paul George in the second unit to create his own shot and be this great spot up shooter. You have like a mix of that with CP being able to be this elite playmaker, and then Clay just being able to come off the ball and CP can find shots for him. It's like two players in one, but I trust the 2-player version. So I'm with you. I think that Clay needs more minutes in that second unit, but I think he still needs to start. I think you could still start him and, do what they always do with Clay is get him the first couple early shots and then pull him for Moody. And then, just then throw him back in there with the CP, JK Shards lineup.
And you know why I wonder if the reason why they don't do it that way is because of his injuries. It's almost like he gets in a lather and he's got to play to get loose. And then if you kind of pull him out, then it gets cold again. But maybe you just put him on the bike. Remember how they used to have him always riding the bike when he would come out of the games last year? Maybe that is part of this is, okay, we're going to pull him out early. He's going to go ride the bike for, a little while, and then he's going to come back in.
Exactly.
But that's part of I think that's part of the reason why they probably don't do it that way. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So there's another comment from HR. HR say, he's a little bit down on Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Andrew Wiggins play big in the playoffs. I do not think Andrew Wiggins is soft. I actually think Andrew Wiggins is one of those guys who the game, because he's such a great athlete, the game can come very easy to him sometimes. But when he's struggling and it's not coming easy to him, that easiness to his personality kind of fights against him a little bit, because you can't, what you want to see from Andrew Wiggins is you want to see him get mad. Like he took it out on the rim, I think, today on the backdoor cut for the dunk. But I want to see the guy get mad. I know it's not his personality. He's probably not comfortable with that, but man, let that frustration out, dude, because he's just struggling so poorly with the outside shot. But I understand what HR is saying. It's just Andrew. He looks like he doesn't care, and we know he cares because we saw him in the finals against the Boston Celtics play probably the best basketball of his career. So we know it's there. I think he's fighting emotions. He's fighting frustration. Some of this stuff is not coming as easy to him as he probably believes it should. And he probably feels like he's letting these guys down a little bit. He knows that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's the expectation is high, especially with this fan base. He signed a long-term contract, so you're like, gosh, I gotta make sure that I'm. And here's another thing. Kawakami had a Q&A today, and one of the questions is do you think that they'll trade Wiggins and try and get Siakam? And Kawakami was like, it's just bad form to ask a guy to take a pay cut
and then trade him.
It's a fair contract. It's not like it's an unfair contract in any way. They probably added a year extra than they wanted, and then he cut his salary back a little bit. But it's just bad faith to trade that guy in that scenario. Yeah. But if you're Andrew Wiggins and you're like, man, Jordan Poole signed a 4-year deal for over $100 million. They shipped him out really quickly. Like, what does that mean for me? I hope there is somebody saying, dude, don't, like, this is that is a whole different thing. Like, you just get back to being comfortable playing ball. But yeah, so
lucky for him, there's really no one out there that could potentially be available that would make sense with the team. Siakam can't really shoot threes. You get a downgrade there regardless. If it's Jeremy Grant, that guy's assigned to a 5-year max contract that no one wants on their books. Like, he's kind of in a good spot for that. But what I will say is that Wiggins has been frustrating me too. And it's like, the shot's not falling. But I feel like in previous games, not only was the shot not falling, but he wasn't playing good defense and he wasn't hustling. Tonight, I feel like, I don't know if it's the nature of just the ESPN game, but he was flying all over the place at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I was kind of okay
The motor
kind
was
of
back. The motor was
motor was
totally
back by the end of the game. He might have been missing shots, but it's like, okay, what else can I do? I'm not making a shot. How else can I contribute? And that's the mindset I think you want with everyone if they're not making a shot. And he did embody that. I thought that like my favorite stretch of the game was when they got Jokic kind of in their little high screen and then short roll dunker spot, like where Steph dishes it to Looney. Looney's brings Jokic to him, and then now you have the guys, whether it's Kuminga or Wiggins, come flying from the corners for alley-oop dunks.
Yeah.
And they did it in damn near back-to-back plays, one with Wiggs on a dunk, one with JK on a dunk. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And they tried it with Steph, and they stole the ball.
Yeah.
I do want to, this stuff about the referees and the calls.
They were kind of bad, but the thing is,
the calls leaned a little bit towards Denver for sure. But Denver is the one creating the contact. The Warriors are the ones flailing. A lot of times when that happens, they're going to lean towards the team creating the contact. Yeah. There was the play where Steph was goaltended by Aaron Gordon. They didn't call it, and
then
I almost wonder if someone should have just quickly fouled. Because then can't you
review that?
I wonder if they could have reviewed it immediately if they just fouled in the back court or something.
The one that I was annoyed with was Looney gets called for a soft foul on Jokic, and I think the referee maybe felt bad, so he wanted to not call the next foul. It was then Trace Jackson Davis fouled Jokic, and the ref didn't blow his whistle, and I was like, that was probably a foul. And so the ref who didn't blow his whistle because I think he might have done it as a favor for messing up the foul beforehand. A different referee blows the whistle super late, like way late. I think the referee was probably like, dude, no, this is too egregious, like to not call. But that's one where I was like, you just double effed us right there. But
well, then there was the play on the baseline where I think it might have been Gordon again, where he just lost the ball out of bounds. It may not have been Gordon, but Looney was right there. They thought Looney stripped it out of his hands, but Looney didn't even touch it. And they didn't go to the review there either to figure out what the play was. I think the Warriors may have had to, Steve Kerr may have had to ask for it. But yeah, there were calls that could have gone the Warriors' way and probably did make a difference in the outcome of the game. But the one thing that I will take away from this game is two things. A, there was a playoff intensity to the 9th game of the NBA season between these two teams. I don't know, there's been a lot of blowouts. Like you're watching the Rockets blowing out the Kings and blowing out the Lakers. So there's already teams just like dogging it because, one of their players is injured. These two teams,
the Rockets might have gotten a little better from when we saw them too.
Oh, sure, but they shouldn't blow out the Lakers by 40 points. Like
probably
not. That's crazy. But what it shows is that the Warriors have 2 of their rotation guys out, one of their starters. The Nuggets have their second best player. He's out. And they played team basketball. They played good basketball. That bodes well for dealing with this stuff in the future if it does happen. Now, we don't want to see guys out. And obviously, if it's Steph and if it's Jokic being out, then, you can't replace those guys. So they would definitely take a hit. But I thought it boded well for both teams to go look at the depth on our team. Like, we can handle this. Anthony Davis goes out and the Lakers lose by 40. Like, that's ridiculous. De'Aaron Fox is out and the Kings all of a sudden can't win a basketball game.
Worst team in the league.
It's ridiculous. They have talent. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. But I thought that boded off the Warriors and the Nuggets. The other thing I wanted to say, I think teams are going to attack the Nuggets like the Warriors attacked them at their best tonight. And again, I think they could have even done a better job if they went away from that too big lineup. And, I want to hear Kerr's reasoning for it. I'm sure somebody asked him about it, and we'll hear because we recorded about 10 minutes after the game was over. So but the way that they attack this basketball team, this is the fundamental way that the Warriors won their championships. Now, some may say the KD thing. Yeah, they were able to play a little taller with KD. But you go back to the first championship, they go small, and they force the Nuggets to do some things that maybe they don't want to do. And you just go, okay, Jokic is going to dribble. He's going to turn. He's going to score. Fine. We'll deal with that. We're going to hit a 3 on the other end. So he's going to dribble, turn, score. Fine. We're going to hit a three on the other end. That's how they are going to beat the Denver Nuggets, right? And they're going to their defensive. I don't even want to say talent or athleticism. I just want to say like knowledge and cohesion and trust between the players is a high level when it comes down to late in the game. Now, some may say, well, then why against Detroit they look like a terrible defense? Well, some of these games they almost play like they don't care, or they almost play like, Killian Hayes. The Warriors treated Killian Hayes like the saying open for a reason. Just leave this guy open every single time, and he made him pay. And I think that their bet is that he won't always be able to do that. But in a game, they knew this was a big game. They got up for the big game. Defensively, I thought they were excellent in the matchup, and no one's going to stop Jokic. The Tim Kawakami again in his Q&A today. The first three questions were about why the Warriors don't go and get a big. And his answer was, have you ever watched this team play before? When you put a big in, it actually screws up Steph. Like the way that Steph works is he has people around him who can play make, and the Warriors themselves need shooters and scorers to open the floor. So people like Dwight Howard or whoever the big of choice is. We talked about Rob Williams, and now Rob Williams, I guess, is having knee surgery.
It's like out for the year.
So, but the reason why I said Rob Williams is because we know that he's a defensive monster when in spurts, right? Blocking shots and changing shots. You can get away with that also because of his athleticism. He's a lob catcher. You can play. I think they could play with that in spurts, but at the end of games, he's coming out on offensive possessions in a close game, like this. So he's not going to be the solvent. The only way that the Warriors would probably play with a 5 is if they had either
Sabonis or Jokic.
I wasn't even Sabonis probably.
So can I explain myself for a second?
It's literally Embiid, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I remember we had a conversation on my other podcast. Me and Obi were talking, and I was like, I think at the time Sabonis and Miles Turner were still together.
Obi wanted Dwight, man. Obi wanted Dwight. Miles Turner's another good one, though, by the way.
So I was like, yeah, Miles Turner makes more sense for this team. He's a shot blocker. He's a 3-point shooter. And Obi said that Sabonis makes more sense for this team. And I forgot his explanation. But now that I've thought about it more, and Sabonis likes to run, and Sabonis likes to pat. Like, I feel like the guys that have done well in the Warriors are, defensive guys. Obviously, we need defense, but also just bigs who have a really good passing instinct. Bogut, Draymond, Looney's pretty solid in that end. But imagine having obviously Jokic, right? He made, bad defender, but insane passer. That was kind of, we don't have to get into that. But I think just passing bigs, I think will always just do well on this team.
But the other thing is, you're subbing out Looney in that moment, right? So Looney actually only had 8 rebounds. I thought he had more than 8 rebounds, but Kevon Looney, 4 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He was a -6.
But he was the biggest plus out of the starters.
But I thought he was the best out of the starters.
I thought so
for
too.
Sure. And those 4 assists, like you said, were big. He was playing the Draymond spot.
He was.
And the worry
it felt like we had a chance to win it.
The worry with him is that, he just can't catch the ball all the time. And when he does that, when he can catch the ball and when he's steady, he can make those plays. By the way, your grandpa has a comment. The defense they played on Curry, he looked tired. His points were down. That was their goal, right? They doubled him at every single opportunity, and it was smart. I thought the way that they played Curry and the way that the Warriors attacked the Nuggets, other teams are watching and taking notes. But this is how Sacramento attacks Curry, the same as well. You use the long guards with the long arms. Aaron Gordon was guarding Curry a lot. He wasn't even paying attention to anything else, though. Fitz was like, Gordon is face guarding him, and he's not even looking at the basketball. And right as he said that, Gordon's looking directly at the basketball. I was like, bad timing, Fitz.
I can't believe you watched the Fitz broadcast.
Well, when I record it on Hulu, it just automatically picks the Bay Area ones. I can't figure out how to get it to the ESPN ones because I start it late. So that was the one that recorded, but oh well. Yeah, Fitz, I know Fitz. I don't like Fitz as a play-by-play guy, but I've just gotten so used to Fitz. But
Yeah.
who I like a lot better this season is Kalena. I like him a lot better than the previous 2 seasons. I don't know if it's just I'm more used to him. His chemistry with Fitz is solid. He's also not doing that stuff anymore to try and get on Twitter, making those goofy sayings and stuff.
The F1 stuff.
Yeah, he's just more relaxed. He's not trying so hard anymore. So I think that's why I like him a lot too. No, but it's a great point because Curry did not have a good game. They defended him very well tonight.
Yeah, he didn't have and again, I think I don't want to completely give them all the pass for this, but again, 7 of 9 games on the road, like they're tired, they want to go home. I get it from that sense. Now when they're home, you better kick some ass, but I want to see them like blow out like a good team, and feel like they haven't totally done that yet. I guess the Pelicans, but again, the Pelicans are missing like half their team. But I think what JJ was mentioning in our chat, he was kind of saying like, am I being biased, or like, why is Steph not getting the ball here down the stretch? And I agreed with him. There was a point where when they kept going at Jokic, they had Jokic on Looney, and when they were doing the Steph screen with Looney, that made Jokic on Steph. So to combat that, the Nuggets put Jokic for a few possessions on Chris Paul. And the Warriors then combated that and said, okay, we're just going to have CP bring the ball up because that means you have to guard the ball directly. After the Warriors did that one time, they moved Jokic right back onto Looney. And the Warriors didn't transition back to going, okay, Steph and Looney pick and roll. They said, okay, CP with the ball in his hand for 2 more crucial possessions where CP just hucked up a shot. And it's like, I still feel like they really need to figure out that. And again, we're only 9 games into the season with this completely new dimension to the offense, but I would like CP to like really make a mental note, like, hey, I'm by far not the best player on this team who needs to have the ball in their hands for the last couple possessions here. And I don't think he should be putting up grenade shots that, I think Steph really does need to, maybe they just need to have a conversation. Like CP's like, yo, I just need you to like command the ball. And Steph's like, I need you to find me. I don't know what it is, but I need to see Steph with the ball in his hand more.
It's a play call from the bench is what it is. It's
yes,
literally
Kerr. I think literally the fifth
Kerr
option.
Saying, Kerr just needs to say Steph pick and roll. Like that's all he needs to say.
You're saying to fix this, it would be a bench call.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying this is a bench call.
No. Okay. Kerr from the sidelines, seeing what you guys saw, because I didn't even really pay attention to that art. To see what you and Jay saw, he needs to see that, and his staff needs to see that, and then they need to make that call. And I'm sure if Draymond was in the game, Draymond would have probably made that call because he would have saw the same thing.
Yeah, and or then him and Chris would have gotten a screaming match
but
at the end of the game.
I told you, I mentioned this to you when Chris was signed, and I said late in the game, this dude is going to have the basketball. He does not like sitting in the corner. He hates sitting in the corner, and he's going to have the basketball. So they are going to have to figure that out. Maybe it is taking him out late. Now, would he like that? Probably not. Kerr is. It's funny. Right when he comes into the game, there's that stat. How many
assists to
turnovers or whatever. And I had the twins with me. We were at the sports bar, and Felix looks at that stat. The next possession, he throws it to the other team. He's like, I was like, yeah, that's called the broadcaster jinx.
Yeah.
But
I did also watching a couple games back now, like in a row before this game, he had a couple saved that just like Moody is like diving out for, and Kuminga is just diving out for to not let him get that turnover. Yeah. But I mean, that's, the stat he has is great. But I think going back to the Moody thing where you were talking about his steals, I know that was earlier in the pod, but I forgot to mention it. Not only his steals, but Moody has such a good just instinct for where the ball is going to be, and not only steals, but the deflections. Like him just putting his hands up there and getting a hand on the ball and like stopping what would have been a corner three or what would have been, a cut to the lane from the offensive player. Like I think that's also like that, man, that guy really needs to find like a really I think he needs to play one more with the starters. And I feel like Kerr's been, flirting with a couple of these lineups where it's all the starters but no Looney and Kuminga instead, or all the starters but no Looney and Moody instead. Like I think he's been trying those, and then he has to, then put in CP. But I think we need to start seeing that a little more, because Moody literally plays defense like I play in 2K, and it's like unrealistic. Like I'm surprised that he's allowed to do this with tracking down the passing lane. It's like he's like a passing lane god. Like he knows exactly where all this stuff's going to be, and he puts his hands up at the right time. I've been really admiring watching him play off ball defense.
He's a patient guy. Mm-hmm. Do you know, out of all of the people that the Warriors played, now this is kind of amazing in of itself. Without Draymond, they played 10 guys.
Yeah, they just put pods in the GP spot.
Corey Joseph, who was brought over to be the
third point guard,
third ball handler,
0
minutes. Brandon Pajemski, 11 minutes tonight, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good. He was a +8. I thought he was pretty good. Like he doesn't do anything eye-opening, right? All of his stuff.
Well, did you see the full court pass?
That
was Jokic-esque.
That was good.
That was Jokic-esque.
But Moses Moody only played 2.5 more minutes than he did tonight. Moses Moody.
See, that sounds wrong.
This is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah.
Moses Moody, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 10 points, and +6. So 10 points in 13 minutes. I wonder why he didn't get more minutes tonight. Because every minute he was in the game, it seemed to be positive for the Warriors.
This is so unrelated, but I remember 4 or 5 years ago in fantasy football, I was just a waiver wire hunter, and I'd try to find that running back who's finally going to become RB1, and then it just makes my team all that much better. And I remember Matthew Berry was just on this hype of just free Aaron Jones, is what he was telling the pack before Aaron Jones became RB1. He was just Aaron Jones was getting doghouse, pushed to the, he was still in as a running back too. Finally, they free him. And they move him to RB1 halfway through the season, and he just goes and has a monstrous career and is a top running back almost most years in fantasy since then. I'm feeling it's unrelated, but I'm feeling that way with Moody and Kuminga. How can you continue to contain this ball of energy that just wants to go out and play and run and I just think I'm surprised that 13 minutes is what you had this guy stop at when
he needed to be in there 20 minutes tonight, I thought. And maybe if he is, maybe they do win the game. But, Matthew Berry also, who he was on very early, was Cooper Kupp. And you know what he used to call him? My little Cooper Kupp. And then Cooper Kupp became the fantasy beast a couple years later. All right. So, this was a good game. I was so happy that they came back, because this had all the makings of them getting boat raced, but they made some changes. Their young guys played. Trace is getting some pretty interesting minutes. The bigs in the Warriors offense, they don't really trust these guys. I've called Trace a smarter, more fundamental Jordan Bell. That's kind of what he reminds me of.
Probably a little less athletic, but more savvy around the basket.
Yeah, he's got moves. I'm so surprised that he's being trusted in these positions, and he's a smart basketball player.
Had a bad game yet?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he's had a bad game yet. So I'm almost wondering. I keep saying that I feel like the Sharch and him thing should be situational, and Sharch shouldn't like today. I just thought he was. If Sharch, to me, if he's not hitting the 3 ball. He becomes a little less effective from what I've seen. He's smart with the way he plays the 2-man with Chris. That's effective, but it's kind of a lot for his shot. And if his shot's not going,
Yeah,
and then we're giving,
if he's hitting threes, he can play, and if he's not,
yes.
then you may want to move on.
And it feels very streaky. It doesn't feel like it's like 1 of 3 from him. It feels like it's like either 4 of 4 or 0 of 4. Like
so. I'll give this quote because I think Kerr kind of gave the reality check of the night, which is, the start 7 of 9 on the road. He said, we looked at it and said, we got to get through that stretch. We did more than that. We're 6-3, 5-2 on the road. And I think some of that flatness to Clay's shot, some of that flatness to Sharic's shot has to do with
is this you or
the end
Steve?
of the road trip. No, I believe that.
Okay, that's
you. Steve just said, that they did much better on this first stretch, and now they have 8 of 10 coming at home.
Yeah.
So if they win 8 of the next 10, then that's meaningful. But if they go 5-5 at home, then maybe it's not as big of a deal, and it's unfortunate. But so the next, what's the rest of their schedule like this week?
Ooh,
I'll look it up here right now. So the Warriors play, it looks like Timberwolves, I think, are next.
Wow. They have been hot.
Timberwolves on. No. I apologize. Cavs again.
God.
No. It's Cavs and Timberwolves back to back.
Oh, man. Both at home, though, right?
Okay, but watching how they played the length of the front court in Denver gives me some thoughts about how they now, because they've already played the Cavs once. They'll play them again on Saturday. The Cavs have a ton of length. Evan Mobley, it looks like he's still growing. And then you got Gobert. Is Towns playing right now?
Towns is playing. He's just bad. That's why I haven't heard of him.
All right. So you have 2 more opportunities to attack these bigger teams. And because that's going to be the story of the season, right? It's not that can the Warriors beat Dallas or beat Sacramento or beat the Thunder. I think they will be favorable against those teams. It's really, can they beat the Lakers, who are long? Can they beat the Nuggets, who are long? And facing the Cavs, getting them a second time in 2 weeks, and then the Timberwolves, who they've had pretty good success against, though I think they lost a game last year. That
the last game we played against them was the one I went to, and they lost.
And so, but this is another test of how their style. Hopefully, you get Draymond back. Hopefully, get GP2 back, and then you can go at it. So, I'm really interested in these next 2 games because
I'm scared. The Timberwolves one, man. They've literally beaten. They took the Denver's undefeated streak, and then they went ahead and took Boston's undefeated streak. And so
Boston lost again today.
Boston did lose to the Philly, yeah. And then Timberwolves beat the Pelicans today. But man, like I feel like they're all just kind of everyone on the Timberwolves besides Cat is like playing at their best right now. And you have Jaden McDaniels to guard Steph, and then Rudy Gobert in the paint is just they cover some ends defensively. I'm really interested.
Try to hurt his feelings.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's gonna keep reminding him how he's the last pick in the All-Star game and.
Or he didn't make it and cried.
Yeah, didn't make it and cried. All that stuff is coming out. Rudy's got to
get ready,
stiff upper lip this weekend because Draymond's coming at him.
You need to say a lot of positive words in the mirror before that game, Rudy.
Good enough, smart enough, and gosh darn,
handsome
will like me. Okay, good game. They didn't win. I don't know. We're kind of bad luck on these post gamers here. We're 0-2 on the post game, so we're gonna have to pick another game to do this. But we'll be back. Next, actually, they play next Thursday. So, do you want to come back after Thunder Warriors Thursday night?
Yes, with pencil.
Okay, so let's write that one in pencil. I know because you have a busy weekend coming up. So, we'll figure it out. All right. So for Bri, I'm Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.